Hey guys, it's your boy Jenner, and today is National Dress Up Your Dog Day. So I am gonna make a video dressing up my dog. Just kidding, because that actually didn't turn out. So here's a different video instead. This video idea is called the Mostest Tag, and it was made up by my boy who doesn't know who I am, Franta. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna tell you about the time that I felt a certain emotion the most at its strongest point. Alright, so let's get started. When was I most scared? When I was a really little kid. My parents left and I had a babysitter. And my parents strictly said I was not allowed to watch this movie called Pet Sematary. It's by Stephen King and it's a horror film, and we all know Stephen King's like the best horror writer, so you know, really scary. I didn't listen to my parents and I ended up watching Pet Sematary with my babysitter. From that moment on, I cannot watch scary movies without being scared to death. I think about that movie 24/7, images always pop into my head, and I'm gonna have to say that was probably the scariest moment of my life, and I never wanna just watch that movie again, so yeah. When in my life was I the happiest? Okay, so it took me a while to think of this because I'm a pretty happy person, so I'm like literally happy most of my life. But I'm gonna have to say the happiest moment of my life was probably May 20th, 2015. And the reason this was is because I got to schedule a random trip to New York City to meet up with my favorite YouTubers, Mark and Ethan. Woo! I got to meet them, I got to record for their vlog, and I got to meet a whole bunch of new friends. And it was probably the best day of my life. I'm so happy. What was the saddest moment of my life? I'm gonna have to say that the saddest moment wasn't really just one day or one like short moment of sadness. The saddest day of my life was probably the end of my senior year. And that's probably all I'm gonna tell you. No, Jenner, tell us more. Okay, so basically, I had a best friend at this point, and I was like really into him. Like we did everything together. We were like best friends forever. And then everything went south, and that's all you need to know. Okay, thanks, bye. When were you the angriest? Well, I don't know. I'm a really happy person, as I said before, so I don't really get angry a lot. So this goes way back into my childhood. When I was in 5th grade, this kid, like, he passed us all in line. I know, things to get angry about, passing kids in line, but he did it, and I looked at him and I was so mad. I was like, I'm gonna stab you with a pencil. And then he got all in my face and pushed me into a chair, and I hit my head on a doorknob. And that was probably the angriest I've ever been in my life. Probably not. There's probably angrier times, but I don't actually remember them, so I'm just gonna go with that one. And it resulted with me going to detention because I threatened to stab him with a pencil. So that's how that turned out. Moving on. What is my most excited moment? Well, I'm going to have to say that the most exciting moment of my life was also on May 20th, because when I got to meet them, I literally started crying because I'm like a hashtag #1 fan, because I just love them so much. Judge me. I got to meet them, and when I met them, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dying, right? And they're like, so, while we're doing this meetup, we really need someone to record for us. And I'm like, oh, I'll do it. And there were other people raising their hands, but I was like, oh, I'll do it. And my friend Tim was like, oh, Jenner, this is your chance. And I ripped up my shirt. I didn't rip off my shirt, I had another shirt, but I was like, hey, pick me, pick me, pick me. And I'm like freaking out, running, pick me. And then Mark points at me and he's like, you. And I'm like, ah! And so I walk up to the front and I'm like, oh, excuse me, yeah, he picked me, excuse me. Oh, I just need through here, excuse me. Oh, say hi. And I got up to him and he's like, what's your name? That was the most exciting moment of my life. At what point in your life were you the sickest? In 2010, I went on this trip to Guatemala. And on the way back, we had to stop at an airport in Texas. And while we were there, our flight actually got delayed, so we had to stay over an extra night in the airport and come back home the next day on another plane. The airport was so cold, but there were other people there and I had a blanket, so I kindly gave my blanket to someone else. But I was suffering because I was freezing my buns off. Not only that, but my stomach was all swirly and it was bad. So I started jogging around the airport and I'm like, oh yeah, try to get warm, but it wasn't working. So I went to the bathroom and sat under a hand dryer because I was like, oh, that's warm. So I did that, but then I realized I just had diarrhea the whole time in the chills, and I basically got Montezuma's revenge, and it was probably the sickest time of my life. TMI, Jenner, TMI. When are you the most tired? I'm usually tired like all the time. Like my friends are like, hey, let's go party. And I'm like, okay. And by the time I get to the party, I'm literally exhausted and want to just fall asleep on the couch. But when I was most tired is usually every year after I go to church camp. We'd stay up all week long, partying, not really partying. By partying, I mean like hanging out with friends, doing Jesus-ly things or playing Flag Raid. And by the time I got home, I was just exhausted. So literally every Sunday when I would get home from church camp, I crash for the whole day and sleep till like 6 o'clock, get up, eat, and go back to bed till the next morning when I'd have to get up for school or work. So yeah, those are probably the most tired days of my life, and it was really tiring. What was your proudest moment? I remember my proudest moment being my senior year. It was the play Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I actually earned the role of Joseph, who was like one of the main leads. And I remember walking out to take that final bow as a senior, and I walked out and everyone's standing around clapping and freaking out. I do a spin with my coat of many colors, and then I take a bow and just start bawling my eyes out because I was happy, I was sad, I was excited, I was proud. It was just a really good moment in my life, and I'll probably never forget that. Ever. Next. Most crazy. Okay. There was this one time that I went on this like ball thing in Ocean City, and it was pretty cool. Here's a clip of that.
Oh my goodness! That was so oh my god! Are we still in the air? Yes? Okay. Oh my goodness! Okay.
What are you most passionate about? I want to say YouTube is probably the thing that I've ever been most passionate about. I'm constantly talking about it, constantly writing down ideas, constantly watching it. Even when I work at my normal job, I find myself either on YouTube or constantly thinking about YouTube. Wake up in the middle of the night with a new YouTube idea. It's just basically right now, this is my thing. This is my hobby, and I love it, and it's so wonderful, and I just need it in my life because it's great and it makes me so happy, and I just love it. Alright guys, so that is the Most Tag, which was developed again by Connor Franta. And if you noticed any of those questions that you're like, oh, I remember this time when I felt this emotion the most, go ahead and leave it in the comments below because I'd love to know. I love to know more about the people who watch my videos because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't make videos. Just kidding, because I have no life and I'll always make videos. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. See ya! I've had to poop all day.
How many children do you have locked away?
How many turtles do I have that lost weight?
How many children do you have locked away?
How many turtles do I have lunch with? Like, share, comment, subscribe. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Woo! Like, share, comment, and subscribe.